Hello and welcome to the beginning of season number 3 of the FDT-TV podcast. Now, if you haven't been here already, my name is Ian and I'm joined by...
I'm Mike.
And I've actually pronounced that name right, even though I haven't said it in a little while. Yeah, essentially we're here to talk about football. I'm a West Ham fan, Mike's an Arsenal fan, and we talk everything Premier League. So what we shall do really, because this is the start of the new season almost, we're going to go every other week, or generally on a Monday, even though it's not a Monday at the minute, over on our YouTube channel, which is FDT-TV. Go over and subscribe. And let us know who you think is going to be tipped for relegation this season. Who's going to finish bottom of the Premier League? Go and put that in the comment section, why not? But we are also on Anchor or most other sites where you can consume your podcast. So wherever you are, very good. So, Mike, obviously fresh off of losing your prediction trophy, how are you feeling about the new season? Are you confident of winning it back?
100%.
100%.
100%. To be honest, I think I was cheated out of it last season. I've got to be honest, some of the COVID fixtures, it messed me around a little bit. I couldn't get my head straight. So, yeah, we'll just have to we'll see how it works. But I'm confident the trophy is coming home.
It's coming home, is it? Okay. We're still at your house, I think. I haven't got it yet. That's
the point, actually. You could have picked it out.
Yeah, so we'll have to have a trophy lifting ceremony or something. But let's press on with more important matters. We do have 3 new teams in the Premier League. All have been there before, but Fulham, Nottingham Forest, and Bournemouth. I was going to say Brentford. We're not getting back to that again. Or Brighton, whatever it was.
Why did they do that to me?
Yeah, so all back in the Premier League. Do you think they can all survive?
Nottingham Forest, no.
Okay.
Bournemouth, I don't know. Bournemouth, I'm a bit on the fence with. And Fulham, to be honest, when they were back in the Premier League a couple of seasons ago, they showed promise. But again, I think it's one of these clubs that is potentially going to be a yo-yo club for the foreseeable future, just because of the amount of money that is required. In fact, I'll strike that, because Leicester have proven that you don't need big budgets to win the Premier League.
No, but I think that was an obscure season, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, then I'll go back on what I was saying. Yeah, Fulham are going to be a yo-yo club, because I don't think they have the resources to be able to recruit sensibly.
Fair enough.
Without breaking wage caps and all that sort of stuff. So Nottingham Forest for me are going to go down this year. Fulham, yo-yo club. And Everton, I think, could possibly be in a little bit of danger again this year.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. They've sold Richarlison. Looks like a few other people are on the way out of the club. Don't look like they're replacing it with much quality in some respects. But I mean, for me, all 3 of those clubs that come up go down, with an exception. If they're better than Leeds, they'll stay up. If they're better than Southampton, they may stay up. And if they're better than Everton, they probably will stay up. I think that the bottom, I think that's going to be a bottom 6. Leeds, Southampton, Everton, and then the 3 that come up. I think they're gonna be battling it out this year. I can't see them pipping it. As you said, it's a big money league. Transfers are getting more and more ridiculous, and say Leeds of getting rid of players like there's no tomorrow. They did put on a decent performance second half of the season when they changed their manager, but I just think taking some of those key players out is going to make it much more difficult for them to survive. But that being said, anything can happen. Hopefully Liverpool and Tottenham will get relegated, and Manchester United will win a league. Hang on, no, what? That's not right. Speaking of Manchester United, though, looks like they may have signed Christian Eriksen, or at least in principle. Ronaldo wants out, allegedly, because they're not in the Champions League and they're not strengthening properly. What do you think could happen to them? Because they had a really dodgy season, really. But new manager, Pogba's gone, Ronaldo could be gone. Is this going to be one where potentially this ends up as a really, really bad season in terms of what we're used to from Manchester United?
To be honest, they're not exactly pulling the players in, are they? There's been a few players where they've gone, no, definitely don't want to go to United. As you correctly said, it was an atrocious season in terms of Manchester United form is concerned, and I think it just harks back to Jose Mourinho's comments when he come out and said that finishing second with Manchester United was one of the greatest achievements. I think even he knew then that the team was overperforming.
Yeah.
As he very quickly found out the following season when he got sacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange one because Manchester United have always been, certainly in my lifetime, been one of the powerhouses of the Premier League, and now we have seen a shift in power to Manchester City. Liverpool have been, I think, one of the best squads over the last few years. Obviously won it, unfortunate on 2 occasions to miss out by the narrowest of margins. But as you've also said, other teams are strengthening around them. Again, if there's some disruption within the squad already, I think that could be another season where we see Manchester United suffer.
Yep.
It's certainly going to be an interesting one. Obviously, they've made a couple of other recruitments. I can't remember the young boy's name. And they're also looking at, is it Lisandro Martinez as well? So a player that we're kind of linked with as well. But it's crazy. You've seen them come from this powerhouse of the Premier League down to top 6, top 8 mediocrity. It's really strange.
Yeah, and say it's not an easy fix. I think getting rid of Pogba is a good idea, and in some respects, I think getting rid of Ronaldo would be as well. I know he's a good player, and he pretty much single-handedly put them where they were last season. But in the same breath, you've got to build a team that's a team and not based around one player. Interesting. But in terms of transfers, you mentioned there you was linked with Lisandro Martinez from Ajax. You have recently signed Gabriel Jesus. Is that one you're happy with?
Massively. And I'll go back to playing FIFA Ultimate Team, and he was always one of the first players that I would sign just because he's quick, he scores goals, and I know life is not FIFA Ultimate Team, but he looked good in an Arsenal shirt. Even a couple of years ago, he looked good in an Arsenal shirt. When I did hear that we were linked with him, there was a couple of players that were kind of being touted about, and I think he was one of the ones that I was most excited about because I didn't realise this at the time, but he's only 25 years old, but it feels like he's been around for forever.
Yeah.
Knows where the back of the net is, Premier League experience. It was a no-brainer. And the fact that he wanted to come to us as well, I think is brilliant. And I've been watching some of his interviews over the last couple of days, and he just seems so keen. Obviously, he's got to play the part in terms of wanting to show fans that he wants to play for the club or whatever, but I think it's an outstanding bit of business. £45 million for a proven Premier League goal scorer. Brilliant bit of transfer business. I was so happy when that finally got announced. It was like the worst kept secret ever. I think it took over a week for the deal to be finally confirmed for whatever reason, but yeah, he's an Arsenal player and looking forward to seeing him in the pre-season.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, I think he's going to be a good signing for you, only for the fact, one, he's worked for or worked with Arteta before. Obviously, they're both from Man City together. He never really got a full run of games at City, which I think it's silly. I think if he did get a run of games, okay, he's not going to be the top goal scorer in the league, but I think he's going to be up there at least sort of 15 goals, over 20 goal contributions in the whole season, I would imagine. So, I mean, with Lacazette going, Aubameyang going, I know you signed Nketiah, but that's good competition, I think, between those two. Similar type of players, but yeah, we'll certainly keep you competitive up top, I believe. Is there any other confirmed signings as of yet, or is it just the rumour mill going on as it does?
We've got a few. We've got a guy called, I say a guy, it's a kid, 19-year-old. I think it's Paulo Marquinhos from Brazil.
Right.
So he's one that's joined the ranks with a look for the future. I think he's kind of like a winger. But again, he's going to have stiff competition, certainly over the next couple of the years, with the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Emile Smith-Rowe, Pepe, although we're trying to get Pepe out the door. But yeah, there's so he's one, and then we've also got a Portuguese player called Fabio Vieira.
Yes,
Vieira. So he's another one. This was one of these ones that kind of come out of the blue. I've got to be honest, I don't really know a lot about the kid, but it's nice to see that we're getting some business done early. It's just a bit unfortunate that there have been a couple of transfers that we were linked to, i.e. Rafinha and Martinez as well as another one, where the deal's kind of fallen at the last hurdle. Now, obviously, the Martinez one is not completely dead and buried because obviously he's got the experience with Ten Hag before, but apparently he likes Mikel Arteta's philosophies. So until something's signed on the dotted line, that's always an option. And Rafinha come out, and whilst I do think it would have been a fantastic signing for us, his heart was always set on Barcelona. And I think Barcelona had to do a little bit of restructuring within their ranks to try and stump up the deal. But it was always going to be, if they come knocking, he was always going to pick Barcelona. So, we'll have to try and find some other options.
Fair enough. It's difficult, isn't it? Say one of those Barcelona or Real Madrid sort of moves, you potentially only get one opportunity in your career, so you can't really blame him for that. Is there a position that you particularly feel needs strengthening in your squad that you think, right, we should go out bang straight away and get that position sorted? Obviously, you've already sort of done it at striker, but I meant across the rest of the team.
Yeah, I've got to say the defensive midfielder position is possibly one that needs to be sorted. I won't go too much into the recent speculation because I think there's been enough of it over social media over the last few days. But
I figured out who it was.
Could potentially be a position which we need to recruit into, and we did see as well. Obviously, when Thomas Partey got injured last season, we did suffer a bit. Can't always rely on Granit Xhaka because he does have a bit of a nutty boy challenge in him. Although I do think last season was one of his best performances in an Arsenal shirt. It was certainly one of the most consistent players we had, but it's always good to have a backup in that position as well. And possibly Kieran Tierney, so at left back. Again, I read a stat the other day that he's played something stupid like 30 odd games for us, or it's a small percentage of number of games considering the number of games he could have played where he's been out through injury.
Yep.
Again, another player that has showed how valuable that they are when they're in the team, and we suffered when we didn't have him. So I think having a good backup at left back is going to be another position where we need to recruit.
Yeah, definitely. I know he was linked with Aaron Hickey from Bologna, who plays left and right back. Brilliant Scottish fullback. Be a big name in years to come, I think. But that again hit a hiccup somewhere along the road. I know there's a number of teams in for him, so maybe you'll get him. Who knows?
I think he's signed an agreement with Brentford. I believe.
There's a good signing for Brentford if he has, because he's still very, very young. But yeah, so West Ham, right? Get this. We still haven't signed a striker. I know we were linked with Berija from Chelsea. Apparently, we were set to bid £30 million. That was at like the 20th of June. That story hit. We've had nothing since. We've heard nothing. And in the pre-season training video that West Ham have out, they're doing fitness drills, which is fine. And Mikel Antonio is doing really well. He's breezing through them. Then all of a sudden he just stops. And this is a conversation they've included in it. And he's like, yeah, well, I hit a wall. And then him and the trainer have a discussion about mentality. He said, well, it's all mental after that. And he's like, yeah, I know. So his body's hitting a wall and he's not prepared at the moment to run through it. Which, he played a lot of games last season. He's probably still tired. But he's the wrong side of 30 for a footballer. He plays a very physical game. You can't rely on him to do that every single game and Europa games and everything else. So we do need to get a striker over the line. The other end of the pitch, however, we're doing all right. We made Areola permanent for £7.5, £8 million, something like that. 5-year deal, which I think is I know goalkeepers are a bit obscure, but he's already like 33. And he's on big money, and you think surely Nick Pope, I know he's 30, but would have been a better signing on a 2 or 3 year deal, and then you're gonna have to sign younger. But in the defence, Mike, David Moyes has told his team to go out and get him a good defender. That's exactly what they did. They literally got someone named Gerd. So I think there's maybe a communication issue there, because I've never heard of the geezer. £30 million we've paid for a Gerd, and he is a defender. So I think they've gone, oh, a Gerd defender, yeah, oh yeah, okay, he plays for a Rennes. Let's go and get him. Like, if he's phenomenal, fair enough. But I've never heard of him. I don't think anyone had ever heard of him. There's been a lot of praise for him, but even so, it's like, well, what are we playing at? What are we playing at? Why are we spending £30 million on this geezer that no one's ever heard of? Well, it's not gone wrong before, is it? With Felipe Anderson or Payet or Haller. I mean, what could go wrong?
Andy Carroll.
Yeah. It's just like, I mean, if he comes out and he's a phenomenal striker, he might be a phenomenal striker. He's a phenomenal defender. Fair enough, but the fact that we were linked with all these other players that people were sort of well scouted and well known last year, and now we've signed this guy out of sort of obscurity, scares me a little bit.
All I would say is, don't write him off until you see him play. It's such an easy assumption to make. Someone, I think, was a little bit guilty of this with a few players last season, and they ended up proving you wrong, i.e. Aaron Ramsdale.
Yes.
Let's be honest. You said it was a stupid bit of business from Arsenal's perspective.
Yep.
And he was, I think, for me, the signing of the season.
He
was absolutely brilliant last year.
He was, and I think maybe the teams that he played in previously didn't do him any favours. I think it did in terms of development and facing shots and stuff and getting good, but in terms of his reputation before that, I don't think he got a rough brush of the grave, especially from me. But I'd heard of him. I could tell you all about him.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's not like we've signed this guy on a 5-year deal.
You're a stat man.
Exactly, and this is what I mean. I've never heard of the geezer. He's left-footed. Like someone said, this is the French football expert Julien Laurent speaking to Sky Sports. He said, I think it's a great signing because he's left-footed, but it's not just that. It's a sweet left foot. He's good. He has a good technical ability for a centre back, which is quite rare. Not in modern football. It's not. That's like the number one thing. You got to be technically good. 26 years old.
No, not happy with that one.
I I feel like I mean, we did need a centre back, but we also then need to shift one on. I just feel like the striker's the priority. Has to be. We can't go 3 years without a striker. Can't. On a more positive note, we're waiting on an answer from Jesse Lingard. Which, I mean, he becomes a free agent on Friday, so he can't say anything until then. But if that's going to happen, I think it will be a fairly quick one, providing he doesn't go, I want £600,000 a week.
Yeah, this is one I think is a bit of a no-brainer, but obviously, as you mentioned, he's still under contract, so it does make sense as to why he could potentially be keeping his cards close to his chest. Now, I've seen various comments in social media over the last couple of weeks that says, no, not interested in West Ham. And then other ones coming right out of the blue. I think it was yesterday, the day before, saying, yeah, could potentially sign a contract with West Ham. So I think with all the speculation that's going on already, may have damaged his reputation within the West Ham faithful.
Yes.
However, I think if you do get him over the line, granted, it's been a year since he was with you.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to have that same sort of form? Part of me thinks yes. So even if you were to get him on a 2-3 year deal, I think it would still be good business. Obviously, as you said, if the wages aren't ridiculous, but if he does sign, I think he's going to have to make an impact really quickly in order for West Ham fans to jump back on board with him.
Yep. And in fairness, I think he will, because the World Cup's in December. I think he'll want to be playing, and he will be playing well to try and get in that World Cup squad, because I think that's his last opportunity, realistically. Yep. And then I think if he does get in the World Cup squad, he'll have a bit of a poor second half of the season just for the amount of games. If he doesn't, I think his form will just drop off because he won't be interested. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but I think he'll start, wherever he goes, he will start the season really well, and then he'll drop off regardless. Just an opinion, but again, still not a striker. Come on, David Moyes, sign a striker. I mean, it doesn't take a tactical genius to know you need a striker in a football club. But in terms of England players, we've seen a few move about this season. Calvin Phillips has gone to Manchester City on a 6-year deal for something ridiculous. Looks like Raheem Sterling could be going to Chelsea. Harry Maguire was offered in a part of a swap deal with Manchester United for Frankie de Jong, and they went, no, we want to keep him. I'd have got him out the door as quickly as I could, if I'm honest. But do you know what I mean? Do you think that we could see a complete change of England's squad coming in the World Cup because of these moves, or do you think Gareth Southgate's going to go, it doesn't matter where you're playing, I'm going to pick the same 11 players that I always pick?
To be honest, I think it's the latter. I think he's got an idea of his team in his head already. I know when he first come to the England setup, it was always going to be, oh no, I'll pick players on form. But we've seen over the last few fixtures that there seem to be the same old names cropping up. I mean, even Harry Kane, when he was going through a bit of a bleak spell at the start of the season, was still getting called up, and kind of the tune had changed with Gareth Southgate, in terms of going with what he knows, his contributions to England, blah 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 blah. So I don't think, with the exception possibly of a couple, I don't see the squad changing a lot at all.
Yeah, I think you might be right. But do you fancy our chances? Do you fancy our chances at the World Cup?
The last two fixtures, no.
In fairness,
in the Nations League, we were absolutely terrible.
I think either Gareth Southgate will get sacked before or immediately after this tournament. I think we could be going out of the group stage. It's such a negative brand of football.
Yes, it definitely was. Certainly in the last two. So, sorry, the last three. It was an absolute shambles. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Even depending on how we get on in the next lot of fixtures, which I think are just before the World Cup. I think it's going to be do or die for Gareth Southgate. Would seem stupid to change the manager just before a tournament, but with you, I think we'll get knocked out early, and that'll be the end of Gareth Southgate.
The bit that concerns me, right, is generally with managers who've done really well internationally and overachieved to a certain extent, clubs come calling for them. No one's come calling for Gareth Southgate. No one's even inquired about it. So surely that sends a message to people going, well, clubs are not actually convinced by it, and owners are not convinced by it, and I think it's all coming out in the wash. I think we've capitalised on the changing of the guard sort of thing, and now other countries have got their teams back into where they need to be, and it's going to be business as normal. But in terms of winning things, who's your shout initially for the Premier League?
I'm going to go Man City again. I went for Chelsea last year.
Yeah.
I did want to go for Manchester City, but I think at that time we had a little side bet on for points for the trophy. But yeah, I think Man City again. They look to be doing some good business already. I've obviously got Haaland, one of the best strikers in the world, in their ranks now. I think he's going to be 20 plus goals. And I'll go Manchester City to win.
I don't think you can look past them, can you? It's just strength after strength, and when you look at they're potentially bringing in 5 substitutes as well, you're going to get like they'll blow people away 6-0 and then change half the team and still be fresh. It's scary to think. The interesting thing is, I think Liverpool will wilter this season.
Suffer.
Because Mane's gone. Now, they have brought in Luis Diaz, who statistically is a really good player, but he's also only ever played in Portugal. So, it sort of weighs it up a little bit. Firmino's not getting the game time. I know the other geezer they bought in January did well, but I think Mohamed Salah will have an abysmal season because Mane's not there to feed him goals. And I think the other two will be focused on, as most strikers and attack-minded players are, getting a goal themselves, not passing it to Salah to get a goal. So I think they're really going to struggle this season, and I think you're going to see that. And if I'm honest, this is a bold prediction. I can see Jurgen Klopp leaving either at the end of the season or getting sacked at some point this season. I think if they drop like to 5th, I think he's gone.
Yeah, possibly.
From the ultimate success they have had to now spending lots and lots of money. Oh, sorry, pardon me. Lots and lots of money to then nothing. I think he could be gone this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I completely agree.
Another question. We did it last season. Off your knowledge of teams and stuff with no form in a minute, who's your favourite to be sacked first?
Frank Lampard.
Do you know what? I didn't even think of that, but I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Wayne Rooney's without a club. I think you might be right. The other one I was going to say, I was weighing up, was Steven Gerrard, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah.
I think him and Frank Lampard had a not too dissimilar season. Gerrard obviously had a full season and spent lots of money. They recruited well still, but when you look at their end result, it's a bit sort of disappointing. So I think if he carries on the form in which Aston Villa finished the season, he could be gone relatively quick. But yeah, no, I think I've overlooked Frank Lampard. I think you are right, especially with Wayne Rooney in the midst of the wings and Pochettino.
Wayne Rooney and Big Dunk. Ah, yes.
Yeah, you would say it's not an argument you'd want to have on the sideline, is it, Rooney and Dunk? It's
No.
But yeah, so Pochettino, I think we should touch on it because it is a big manager that's now been sacked, or left, or whatever, however you want to say it. He's been linked with Real Madrid, but I can't see that happening if I'm honest.
No.
He apparently is coming back to the Premier League, but there are no vacancies at the moment. So do you think if he stays club free for the first 5-6 weeks of the season, that could push one of the teams to chuck their manager in the bin and take a punt on him?
Yep.
And do you think
100%.
that could be one of the bigger clubs?
Yeah, I wouldn't know who though.
Could it be Man United if they lose 4 out of 6 of their opening fixtures? Do you think they could just go,
possibly,
get out and we get in Pochettino quick? Because he's missed out on that job a few times, hasn't he? He's been linked with it.
Yes, that's exactly what I was just about to say. It's a job he has been linked with before. So, and I was going to say, surely they won't sack someone that quickly. But I mean, we've seen managers sacked within like 30 odd days of being appointed. So,
well, De Boer
yeah,
lasted 4 games, didn't he, a few seasons ago?
Mm.
So,
yeah. So absolutely possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, mate. I'm absolutely busting for a week, and we just cut it right to there.
Mike is now back for a wee. It was a very quick wee. Yeah. So that being said, I mean, I don't really have anything to add. He's gonna say. I mean, I've thought of all the things I can think of in terms of footballing that's happened this week in terms of major news. I will specify to you who I think has been arrested from a North London Premier League club, and I do it off camera in case I'm wrong. I don't want to be disparaging against someone in case I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've hit the nail on the head with it, and I don't think it's an Arsenal player. But yeah, so
we shall see very soon.
We shall see very soon. I'm sure it'll hit the news soon. But yeah, I mean, have you got anything to add in terms of news or things that you think maybe are of interest for this week?
Yes, obviously the Women's World Cup kicks off today.
It does.
So good luck to the Lionesses in the is it the Euros? Yes,
yeah.
The Euros. Being played in England, so yeah, best of luck to them.
Do you know what? I think we might do reasonably well out of that. I think we're gonna get quarter final at least. I mean,
I think so, mate.
More positive than the men's World Cup at the end of the year. But yeah, no, you are right. That is kicking off this week or today or whenever it is.
Today, yeah.
Today, yeah. Totally forgot about that. I was only reading up on it yesterday, but yeah, it's all good fun. So until next week, then I suppose, or say not next week, the week after on Monday, go over to the YouTube channel, press subscribe, put the bell on, because then you'll definitely get a notification. I've been Ian.
I've been Mike.
We are FDT-TV, and this has been the first pre-season show. See you later.